Hello! I have never done this before, never done a tutorial. Hopefully this all goes smoothly. I have posted my wood grain. You can probably hear my turtle in the back. If that's the case, forgive me, she's digging. I've posted my wood grain several times and I've never been able to figure out a tutorial, so hopefully this works. That's what I'm gonna do today. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm going to be doing a wood grain on a 30 ounce, like so. What I use is two different browns. I use the Tim Holtz in Espresso and Havana Brown in the Pinata. And I also use 99% alcohol. I use basting brushes from, I honestly got them from our store Price Chopper for like $2. So I use the basters in 3 different sizes. And then I use a couple other brushes for the actual grooves part. I use paint brushes of different sizes. You can find these like on Amazon, I think is where I got those. And then 2 different makeup brushes. This one not so much, but this one is, I think, what makes the difference with mine. So it's a makeup brush and it's by Morphe. I'm pretty sure you could probably just use any liner makeup brush, but this one has like a curve, but that's not really what matters. What matters is how small the tip is, because it lets me get very detailed with my lines in the wood grain. So this is what I use a lot, for sure, out of all my brushes, besides the lay down work with the basting brushes. So that's it. That's all I use, and just lots of patience and practice. So to start out, I start with Tim Holtz, the Espresso, and the brush. And normally I would hold this like in my mouth, which is probably gross, but I try to be really fast and not stumble. So it's really easy. Most people know how to do wood grains and everyone really does them differently, but I just do single lines straight down. And I'm very aware to make sure that I go straight up and down, because it's really easy to sorry, I'm getting the bottom. It's really easy to start going in different directions, which if that's what you want to do, cool. I prefer them to be as straight up and down as possible. I guess straight vertical as possible. And I just do this all around the cup. Nothing out of the ordinary. So I'm going to do this all the way around the cup in single, straight, vertical directions. And when I'm done with that, I'll come back with the next layer. Now that I did one layer around, don't worry about if you have these, oh, I'm terrible at like this, okay. If you have spots that are missing, you just want the first initial layer down. And I use, like I said, I use the Espresso as my start color. So now I will just go with the same color, Espresso, and lay down some more to fill in those spots that are missed. past those moments. It used to terrify me, but it's really easy. I think that's why I really like wood grains, is because there's no such thing as an accident with wood grain, because you can just, oh, well, it's just another layer within the grain. You know what I mean? So like now it's just part of it. I don't know. Okay, I think that's about where I want to end with this color. Okay, so that's where we are with just the Tim Holtz espresso. And then I did my bottom, of course. Okay. Now we go in with Havana Brown. I'm debating on if I want to switch to this brush or not. I think I'll just keep with this one. It's starting to get a little dingy. I need to clean it. Okay, so now if the cap would come off, we're gonna do the same thing basically again with Havana Brown. But with my brush strokes with Havana Brown, I go a little slower because I want to have more brush strokes left behind to make it look more grainy. I don't have a way of comparing Havana Brown by itself, but when you have the Tim Holtz already underneath it, it makes it this nice, dark, rich, stained type color, and it's gorgeous. Havana Brown is a little stickier if you've never used it before. It's a little more tacky. But with this layer, I'm kind of I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm really good at losing my train of thought in the middle of a thought. So, I'm not just going straight around the cup, which I will eventually, but it's really hard for me to explain how I do this, because now I start choosing certain areas to start creating more movement. I don't really know how to explain that. That's why when everyone's like, I need a tutorial, and I'm like, I can sure try, but I am not a teacher. I am not good at explaining myself. Like, I have an idea of what I'm trying to say, but it just never comes out correctly. So hopefully just watching you can understand what I'm trying to say. I'm going to switch to this other baster. It's more square versus this, you know, offset, angled. That's the word I'm looking for. Angled. And if you ask why I'm switching to this brush, because it's less stiff, and so when I'm coming over the curved corners, it will get into the crease and carry the color through. With the stiffer brush, it gets more concentrated where it gets stuck because it's not picking it up in the crevice. The bristles are softer. something I noticed that I do is in the beginning it's kind of uniform lines straight up and down, but now with this next layer I like bigger sections to look different than other sections. Well, that's the wrong way. Bigger sections, lighter sections, darker sections, just whatever feels right is kind of what I do. I don't over analyze it, and I just let the brush strokes be what they be, and then get alcohol ink all over my fingers. So don't nitpick and think that it has to be like uniform and the same as the brush stroke before it. This is the type of stuff that gives your wood grain character. To be honest, this kind of space or stroke right here, I'll explain it later, but this is probably a good spot where I'll create my line work for knots or grain or whatever you want to call it. No, run away. What? Run away. Looks good to me. So now I'm going to switch back to the harsh brush because I'm probably just going to fast forward or something because I don't really want to talk during it. Rather just have you watch. Now I'm going to keep adding layers, and there's really no technique. It's just keep adding layers until you feel like you've reached the look that you want. So that's what I'm going to do now, is just keep adding. And I don't go back to the Tim Holtz. I only stay with Havana Brown. And I just start building and get it really dark and rich. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'll probably fast forward a little bit because I don't want you to just sit here forever in silence. So here we go. Okay, I think I've reached the point where I'm at a stopping point. It is pretty thick layer-wise, so I'm going to take a break and I'm gonna go work on the house a little bit and let this dry. And then we'll come back and probably do a couple, just a little bit more work on it, like stroke-wise, and then we will get into the line work. So, see you in a bit. Hello. So, I ended up letting this sit overnight because I got distracted and the time got away from me. So it dried overnight, and then I came and sat down. I retouched the bottom, and I just I gave it a couple more strokes in some areas that I didn't particularly like, and now it is where I like it. So we're gonna go ahead and start doing the line work for the wood grain. Now, I'm going to apologize ahead of time in case I accidentally don't pay attention and this becomes out of the shot. I'm going to try really hard to be conscious of it, but I usually hold it like way up here by me, by my face, so I can really see what I'm doing. So it's going to be different having it right here, but I will try my best to be aware of where it is in the frame. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get that going. So I'm going to take just a little medicine cup and put a little bit of alcohol into it. Need paper towels. Okay, and then I'm going to use just, some of my brushes, except I don't want it right there. I want it there. Okay. Pardon me. So first things first, I take the little liner makeup brush and kind of look and see where I'm going to start them. This cup is going to have a decal on it, so I want to make sure that I don't put them where a decal is going to be. And the decal is going to be in the lightest part of the cup because it's going to be black. So that'll be in this area. So I don't want to put one in this area. So I'm going to go straight on the other side. And I'm looking for bigger spaces, kind of like this one that already has big sections where it looks like it would be a natural occurring location where I could start the line work. So I'm going to do this spot right here. And I'm going to take just a little bit of the alcohol And I mean a little bit. And I'm going to just take this brush and outline where I'm going to want the first ridge to go. And it doesn't have to be perfect. But when I start getting alcohol moving around like that, I like to at least give it some brush strokes so it doesn't look like it's just alcohol that's been moved, if that makes sense. Now, from the screen, you probably can't see it, but I have a rough draft of where my first line is gonna be. So I don't know if you can see that, but this is where I'm starting my first knot. I don't know if you really call those knots, but you know what I mean. So now that I have an idea of where it's gonna go, now I start, this is where I start getting specific on what I'm doing. That didn't even make sense, did it? Okay, so I'm gonna do two different things to make sure it looks real and it doesn't just look like for instance, this spot right here, it just looks like it's a blank, like someone erased the space, right? Just took an eraser and erased the ink. So to not get that, I very slowly push and paint the ink around, and then I quickly do brush strokes over it. And this is why it takes me so long, because I want to make sure that it has those strokes. Sorry, there's like a frog in my throat. That the rest of the cup has. So I make sure, goodness gracious. So I make sure, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I make sure that it still has the brush strokes like the rest of the cup, so that it doesn't look like an eraser just came and wiped it away, but instead it's just a lighter version of the rest of the cup. I hope that makes sense, and I hope you can see it. It's probably blurry and glare, but it's there. It makes the difference. And I just keep doing that all over the areas that I want to define the line. And you don't want too much alcohol on your brush, because then it makes it runny and it's harder to control. And even with this brush, I'm still doing vertical motions. I'm not doing swirls. I'm not going horizontal. I'm keeping the same vertical motion as all the other brush strokes that we've done with the cup so far. Dang it. That's the other thing. If like I stumble, it dries. I have to be really fast between when I'm done. It dries so fast. So if you're not fast enough, you didn't get that stroke. The brush strokes in the spot you wanted it, so then you have to keep doing it if you're not fast enough. Okay, so that's where I'm going to leave this one for right now. I feel like it's too light. I don't know if I like it just yet, but that's the rough draft is kind of how I look at it. It's rough draft. If I decide that it's too light, I will show you what I do to darken it back up. But that's that one for right now. Now we go on to the next one. Again, not too much alcohol. And I don't make them super straight lines because wood's not perfect. So like with this one over here, I decided to follow it for a minute and then I took it up to just make it edgy, I guess. I don't know. And then I came back down and made a point at the bottom. So there's the second one. Over here, I made it a little unperfect because wood's not perfect. It moves and has different ridges and Okay, so I think that's where. And there's the second one. Now the next one. I'm gonna do it a little bit more of a gap. Sorry, you're just kind of listening to silence. When I do these, I'm so in concentration, I don't even talk. If my husband's like, if he comes in here and he starts talking to me, I'm zoned. I don't even pay attention to anything else around me while I'm doing these. I think I'm gonna keep those as they are. I like the 3. I'm contemplating doing a bigger one down this way, which I think I'm going to. I think I'm going to do a bigger one coming down here. I'm going to do a bigger one. I almost knocked over all my alcohol. Grab the wrong one. Oh, I'm gonna tip that over. Okay, so this is, I like where this is. I'm gonna leave that there. So that's how we get those. Now I'm gonna take a break from it because I've noticed that when I stare at these too long, I start to nitpick and get over picky, and then it turns into a mess. So I'm gonna take a break from this one, and we're gonna move on to another one and come back to it after that. So I like to do one top, so predictable, but I like to do one top and then one bottom. So that's the top, and then the decal's going here. So I'm gonna do a bottom one here. Yeah, I'm gonna do a bottom one right here. And same thing, I'm gonna flip it this way, which I'm being jabbed by the pipe. So same thing, just draw it out. I think I'm gonna make this one thinner and not as big and wide as the other one. So this one, again, with these, I just kind of, there's no formula to how these, at least for me, there's no formula. That's why each cup is different. So with this one, I was like, okay, I just said I didn't want to go wide, but here we are going wide. And I was trying to bring it to a point, and then it didn't work out that way. So instead of starting over, I was like, okay, we're just gonna curve it and go straight up. So unlike the other one, this one became more of a curved and then a divot and then over. Like, there is no accident. You just make it work for you. Kind of have to let your OCD go and let it become what it's going to become. Next row. you wanted to, you could carry this into the bottom, but I'm going to be putting my logo on the bottom of the cup, so I'm not going to. It would cover it up anyway, because I don't do transparent logo on the bottom, but you could if you wanted to. I am curving them a little up under the bottom though, so it doesn't look like a dead stop at the bottom of the cup. I like where it is, so I'm going to leave it there. Logo will be right here. So it kind of offsets the logo a little bit, but I'm okay with this. So now that I have them all, I have them where I want them to be. Now I go in, I take the Pinata Havana Brown. I put a little bit on my parchment paper. And now I'm going to darken up some of the areas to make it not look so light. So same thing as I did with the alcohol, I'm gonna dip this into, dip the brush into it, dab it off quite a bit. Have this on standby. And some of the lighter areas, I'm just going to brush on it and swipe. Brush on it. Not really creating new ridges, just coloring them and giving them a little more depth. And I am hardly using any pressure because I don't really want to move away what I've already created. I don't want to make anything new. I just want to lightly tint it. But I have to make sure that I still use this brush to give the brush strokes so it looks grainy instead of just, you know how alcohol inks look. When you just place alcohol ink on top of alcohol ink, it spreads out. I don't want it to look like that, so we got to keep brushing it while immediately after painting it on. I'll be right back. Okay, I had to pause because my husband was calling me and I didn't realize it was lunchtime. So, okay, back to what I was doing. That dried up. Hold please. Da, 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 da. Okay. So, go right back to what I was doing, just painting and creating brush strokes. Very lightly. So basically doing that just made it from like this really light color to giving it some more texture and made it darker. I'm gonna do some more over here, but hopefully my camera's focusing. I think it was, but It just makes it darker and less obvious that it was swiped away. I think I just got alcohol ink on my elbow. I think so. Oh well, it's okay. What is crafting? Just a whole bunch of messes, really. I never wear anything nice when I craft, because when you know, you know. It's just a mess. Just a mess. There's row 2. And I consider that complete. Now we go to this one. Okay, so during this, my stupid butt went this way and graced it. So now there's this line. I don't know if you can see that. It's like, so, I am simply just going to take alcohol ink. And where it's in this groove, I'm going to basically erase it. Okay, so now where it's outside the area over here, I'm going to try really carefully ever so gracefully erase the line. I will know it was there, but no one else would know it was there, if that makes sense. So that is it. That is how I make my wood grains. Come out here. So really, I don't think it's that complicated. I don't even think it, I mean, I'm hard on myself. I don't see the greatness. I see a lot of other people with more greatness, but this is how I do my wood grains. If I didn't have a decal going on the cup, I would actually do bigger ones. So I would actually do like the full length of the cup, or just more of them. But since this is going to have a decal, I don't want to make it too crazy or too busy. I just want it to be simple. So I've got one here and then one there. And that is all I'm going to do. And after I put the decal on it, and this is smooth enough, I'm actually going to go ahead and just put the decal on it before I put its first layer of epoxy on it. Some people are like, no, you should seal it. You should do. Everyone crafts their own way. It works for me. I'm able to, I never seal my alcohol inks. I've never had an issue with it changing colors. I've never had an issue with it running. So I will let this dry for maybe 20, 30 minutes. And then I will go right into decaling and right into epoxy. And then if I would say this, if you are unsure about what your decal is going to turn out like, I would definitely epoxy before decaling, because when you peel it off, you're just going to ruin it. So at least with epoxy, you'd have a layer of protection. But for me, it's a simple 2 letters that I'm putting on here, so I'm not worried about it. 2 simple little logo letters. So for me, I'm just going to go ahead and go straight into decal since it's smooth, and then right into epoxy. So do what works for you. Not everyone's the same, but this is how I do those. And then I'm going to mattify it, which I just spilled my alcohol. I told you, I think at one point in the video I said I'm going to end up spilling that. And I did. So it happens, whatever. So I'm not going to do a tutorial on how I matte, just because there's already videos out on YouTube on how to mattify it. But simply, you just use vinyl sand, which you can get from DIY epoxy or something like that. I have to look. It's DIY something. And then I use 00 steel wool. Some people use the 4 zeros. And then you just lightly up and down motion. Once you have at least a few layers thick of epoxy to protect whatever's underneath it. But you can find those on YouTube, so I won't do that for mine. But that's how I do my wood grains. If you have any questions, just let me know. Bye.